Hey guys, today we're diving into a story. Tot proves appearances can be painfully deceiving. You think you know who holds power until one quiet gesture flips the script. When a billionaire's entitled son disrespects a janitor at an elite private school, he assumes he's untouchable. Untouchable. What he doesn't know is that the man he just insulted doesn't answer to anyone. Not the board, not the headmaster, because he built the school himself brick by brick. So before you get comfortable, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if these kinds of stories truly speak to you. And while you're at it, drop a comment with your city and local time. We love knowing where you're watching from. It's a brisk Monday morning at Whitebridge Academy, a polished prep school nestled in the wealthiest corner of Greenwich, Connecticut. The kind of place where Range Rovers outnumber teachers and Hermes backpacks rest beside half-finished AP calculus assignments. You walk the halls each morning before sunrise, mop in hand, whistling a quiet tune that's been with you for decades. The marble floors you clean shine like mirrors, but no one ever sees your reflection. Except today. Because just as you're dumping your mop bucket outside the gym entrance, a matte black Mercedes AMG screeches into the staff parking zone, the one reserved for maintenance and kitchen workers. The door swings open and out steps Remington Chase, senior lacrosse captain, son of venture capitalist kingpin Wallace Chase. His shoes cost more than your monthly paycheck and his ego wears a crown. He spots you instantly and scoffs. "Yo, janitor guy," he sneers, sunglasses still on, indoors. "You seriously gonna leave your bucket right there? I nearly stepped in it." You look up, expression unreadable. "That's the designated zone for wet equipment." Remington laughs, not kindly. "Didn't ask for a TED Talk. Just move it. You work here. You're basically invisible." The words sting, but not in the way he thinks. Because you've heard worse from better men. You nod calmly, wheel the bucket aside. But your silence unnerves him. It's not submission, it's something else. Something that makes him glance twice as he walks off. The day rolls forward. By lunch, the cafeteria buzzes with the usual privilege-fueled gossip: whose dad bought what property, who's getting flown to Ibiza for spring break. You pass through unnoticed gathering trays with the practiced ease of someone who doesn't just see mess. He sees what people leave behind. And Remington. He's holding court at the center table, surrounded by the children of CEOs and senators. He's telling a story that doesn't belong to him. Apparently, there was this janitor dude back in the day who used to run the place. He snickers. Total myth, right? Some blue-collar guy who built a school for rich kids. Sounds like a TikTok fairy tale. You pause as you hear it just beyond the sneeze guards of the salad bar. Betty ended up broke. That's how those stories go. Hustlers trying to swim in pools meant for sharks. His friends laugh. One girl, not laughing, stares at him like she sees through the gold-plated facade. But she says nothing. You move past without a word, but your eyes meet hers for a moment. She notices something, the quiet certainty in your gaze. Like you know how this story actually ends. The next day, the student body receives an unexpected announcement. All seniors are to attend a private leadership seminar during fifth period. Mandatory. No exceptions. Remington grumbles as he saunters into the library's back auditorium. Probably some broke alumnus begging for donations, he mutters. He slumps into a chair flanked by friends who are busy checking their Cartier watches and AirPod volumes. Then you walk on stage. No uniform. Just a crisp charcoal suit pocket square folded with the kind of elegance only earned through time and precision. The room falls to a hush. Some students squint, confused. A few recognize you barely. Remington laughs under his breath. No way. The janitor's giving the talk. But you begin not with words, but with a story. A story about legacy. About starting life as the son of a single mother in Newark. About scrubbing toilets to pay for night classes at NYU. About investing everything you had into one dream, to build a school where integrity mattered more than inheritance. As you speak, something shifts in the room. Students lean forward. Even the air feels heavier. Then you point toward the school crest projected behind you. White Bridge Academy, you say softly. Founded in 1997. I laid the first cornerstone myself. I funded it with my own hands. And today I still walk these halls not because I have to, but because I never want to forget what it means to start at the bottom. The silence that follows is thunderous. Remington's face turns pale. He shifts in his seat, lips parted but frozen. He's not laughing anymore. You look right at him. Some of you have confused wealth with worth, titles with character, and status with strength. But let me be clear, no one, not even a billionaire's son, is above decency. The room is still. Still. One girl claps. Then another. Then the entire room erupts, not in cheer, but in a respectful, grounded applause that feels like truth echoing off the walls. But you're not done. Not yet. You gesture to the security staff at the back. They nod and walk forward, handing out sealed envelopes to each student. Inside each one is a copy of your book, Brick by Brick Building, Legacy with Grace. On the last page, a handwritten note, personalized, signed. Remington's envelope has no book, just a slip of paper that reads, "Character isn't something you inherit, it's something you build." He stares at it, his mask cracking. You walk off stage as calmly as you arrived. You don't look back as you step off the stage. You don't need to. You've been in enough boardrooms and construction sites to know when a foundation is shifted. And what just happened up there? That wasn't just a lecture. It was a tremor. The kind that ripples beneath ivory towers, shaking loose the illusion that status makes someone untouchable. You take the long hallway toward the east wing, your favorite path. Quiet, lined with plaques and framed photos of students long graduated. Every face is a chapter of the story you wrote in silence. But today, even the walls seem to hum with change. Behind you, the ripple grows. By the time Remington leaves the auditorium, his swagger is gone. He walks like someone who just realized he's been strutting on a stage built by the man he mocked. His friends avoid his gaze, murmuring about what they just witnessed. One of them, Luke, usually his echo chamber, peels off, trailing behind a girl named Maya, who said, "That was the most real thing we've heard all year." Remington's used to people orbiting him. Now they're dispersing like planets that found a better sun. But he doesn't accept defeat easily. That afternoon, you're on the north lawn inspecting a broken irrigation pipe when he finds you again. He walks up like a man trying to regain control, hands in pockets, posture rigid. "You planned that whole thing, didn't you?" he says, voice low. You keep your eyes on the pipe. Planned what? That TED Talk. You knew I was going to say something yesterday. You set me up. You glance at him now, calm. I gave a talk. You gave yourself away. He scoffs. So what now? You gonna expel me or something? You lean back. Wipe your hands. I'm not the headmaster. I don't do punishments. But you run the school. I built the school. That's not the same thing as running it. He blinks, thrown by the distinction. You let the silence linger. Let him hear the weight of his own confusion. Then you stand. Remington, what I care about is who you decide to be now that the room's quiet. He doesn't respond, just turns and walks away. But the world around him doesn't stay still. That evening, his father, Wallace Chase, gets a call. Not from the headmaster, not from the board. From you. You don't make it a confrontation. You make it a conversation. You thank Wallace for his continued donations to the scholarship fund. You tell him his son has a lot of potential, but potential without character becomes danger in disguise. Wallace listens, stone silent, then asks to meet UO in person. You agree. 2 days later, he visits campus. No bodyguards, no chauffeured car, just a man who built empires now forced to confront what kind of legacy he's really passing down. You meet him in your modest office, books lining the walls, a faded photo of your mother on the desk. He steps in and glances around. Didn't expect the founder's office to be this humble. You smile. Haven't had much need for gold trim. He sits. I've created a lot of things in my life, he says. Companies, technologies, even a few fake charities. He chuckles grimly at that. But the one thing I swore I'd never create was a son who thought money made him better than other people. You nod. Then we've got the same mission. There's a long pause. Then he slides a small envelope across your desk. $1 million for the school. Discretionary fund. Use it however you see fit. Just help him see. You tap the envelope once. Money's not the answer. But thank you. The next day something changes. Remington arrives at school early. Earlier than you. You find him outside the science building, sleeves rolled up, dragging a rusted bench away from a dead flower bed. What's this, you ask? He shrugs, not meeting your eyes. Ms. Yamada said she wanted to build a memorial garden for one of the old teachers. Thought I'd help. You nod. Good muscle for a lacrosse player. He almost smiles. Figured I should try doing something that doesn't benefit me for once. You don't praise him. You don't pat him on the back. You simply say, the garden's overgrown. Might need someone who understands soil composition. He squints. You saying I should talk to the groundskeeper? You pause, then shake your head. I'm saying you should listen to him. From that point on, he starts showing up where no one expects him. Carrying equipment for Mr. Ruiz in the art department. Helping the cafeteria unload their bulk shipment when the delivery truck arrives late. Sitting in on a history lecture even though he already aced the class. The other students watch with a mix of suspicion and awe. Remington Chase, cleaning paintbrushes. Remington Chase stacking folding chairs. But he's not playing a part. You'd recognize the performance. This is the start of something else. 1 week later, you get a handwritten note slipped under your office door. No name. Just, I thought being the son of a billionaire meant I had nothing to prove. But now I know I have everything to learn. Thank you for not destroying me when you could have. R. You fold the note carefully and place it beside the photo of your mother. But fate isn't finished yet. That weekend you're invited to speak at a national education summit in D.C. You don't usually attend these things, they're more networking than knowledge. But this time the keynote speaker is someone who insisted you be present. You arrive to find Remington waiting in the hotel lobby. Suit, sharp hair, neatly combed, nerves barely hidden. What are you doing here, you ask? He looks you in the eye. I told my father I wanted to learn where real influence comes from. He said, then follow the man who started with a mop. You exhale steady and proud. The next 48 hours change him in ways no lecture ever could. He listens to teachers from Detroit speak about funding crises. He watches a principal from New Orleans cry over a student who was shot walking home. He sees what purpose really looks like, messy, tired, determined. When the summit ends, he turns to you and says, I want to start something back at Whitebridge. A mentorship program. Anonymous. So no one knows who's helping who. Just connections. Just kindness. You nod, holding back emotion. That's the first thing you've said that actually sounds like leadership. He grins. I'll build it. Brick by brick. You chuckle. Careful. That phrase is copyrighted. By the time the fall leaves begin to blanket the marble steps of Whitebridge Academy, whispers about Remington Chase have shifted. The teachers no longer lower their voices when he passes. The students don't roll their eyes at his presence. And when the mentorship program Bridge built, he calls it, launches quietly through a QR code posted outside the student lounge, every inbox on campus starts buzzing. Freshmen are matched with seniors. Sophomores get help from juniors. No names, just guidance. And no one knows who founded it, except you. But just when the new roots are beginning to take hold, the storm hits. It starts as a blog post, one of those snide watchdog sites that love to target prep schools and elite institutions. The article is titled, Whitebridge Founded by a Janitor Funded by Lies. It spreads like wildfire. They've dug up your past. Not the parts you're ashamed of because you've always been transparent about your history, But the spin is brutal. Former dropout manipulates wealthy donors, one paragraph reads. No formal credentials in education. No published curriculum oversight. Just a story and a mop. Within 48 hours, Fox Nation picks it up. So does BuzzFeed. Then, the New York Times. Your photo is suddenly everywhere. Not the one from your book cover, the one someone snapped without your knowledge as you exited a back door of the school's gym. Sunlight in your eyes. Trash bag in your hand. The board calls an emergency meeting. Parents are demanding answers. Billionaires don't like to look foolish, and suddenly your origin story, the very thing that gave the school its soul, is being painted as a con. You're not surprised. Truth always threatens the fragile. But what catches you off guard is how quiet the halls get around you again. Like a slow relapse. The way people lower their gaze, whisper behind their phones. Watch your hands. Not to see what you'll build, but what they fear you might break. And then Remington speaks. It's during the Friday morning assembly. He wasn't scheduled to address the school, but as the principal fumbles through an apology about recent media attention, Remington rises from his chair at the front row and walks straight up to the microphone. He doesn't ask permission. He takes it. My name's Remington Chase, he says. You all know me, or at least you think you do. A few heads turn. Phones lift. You remain at the back of the gym unnoticed. I used to believe that being powerful meant being above people. That you could step on someone if you had the right last name. He pauses. I disrespected a man in this school. Called him invisible. Told him he was nothing more than a janitor. I laughed at what I didn't understand. And now the world's laughing at him because they're doing the same thing, mistaking humility for weakness. The gym goes dead quiet. Remington's voice shakes, but he doesn't stop. The truth is, every inch of this school, from the bricks outside to the code behind our mentorship program, exists because one man refused to wait for permission to create something better. He turns eyes, finding you at the back of the crowd. You don't need a PhD to change lives. You need purpose. You need pain. You need a reason to wake up and mop floors before dawn, even when no one notices. And if that's not leadership, I don't know what is. The principal tries to interrupt. Remington. That's enough. He turns back to the mic. No, it's not. Bikashui, I'm done letting money define worth. And if any parent, board member, or billionaire wants to pull their donations, Bikashu, a man with grit, founded this school, go ahead. But you'll be pulling them from me too, because I stand with the founder. Applause erupts, not the polite kind, the kind that shakes beams. You don't stay to bask in it. You slip out the back quietly. Let them own their voice now. That's what leadership should feel like. But the fallout isn't over. That night, your email floods with reporters asking for statements. Anonymous threats. Messages from other schools offering you a fresh start. It's all noise. Then comes the board meeting. You arrive in silence, dressed in your work clothes, not the tailored suit. Just the same uniform you wore that very first day. The message is intentional. The board president clears his throat. We've convened to discuss the optics around your continued association with Whitebridge. You smile, patient. Optics matter more than substance these days, huh? A few members fidget. One leans in. We appreciate what you've built, but we're considering asking you to step down as public figurehead. Quietly. Gracefully. You nod slowly. So you'd like me to become invisible again? Silence. Then Wallace Chase speaks. He hadn't been invited, but he walks into the room anyway, like he owns the place. Because technically he helped fund half of it. Gentlemen, he says, ladies, if you remove the founder from this institution, I pull every cent my firm has contributed. Retroactively. And I'll make sure every donor follows. The room freezes. Wallace folds his arms. I was wrong about a lot of things, but not about him. You don't say anything. You don't have to. Because for the first time in your life, power is speaking for you, not at you. The board votes, unanimously. You stay. But later that evening, alone in your office, you realize something unexpected. This story isn't really about you anymore. It's about what happens after someone like you makes it through the fire. That night you receive a knock at your door. It's Remington. No Mercedes, no entourage. Just a kid holding a folder. I rewrote the mission statement for Bridgebuilt, he says. Wanted you to see it first. You open the folder. This program exists to remind students that legacy isn't inherited, it's earned. That the strongest people don't stand above others. They build bridges. And sometimes the quietest voice is the one that echoes the longest. You look up. He's not the same boy who mocked your mop bucket. He's not even the same boy who defended you at assembly. He's becoming someone else entirely. And for the first time in a long time, you let yourself feel it just for a moment. Pride. Not in yourself. In the kind of leader who learns to carry a legacy instead of just wearing one. A month after the board vote, your inbox begins to shift. No more smear pieces, no more veiled threats. Now it's invitations, keynotes, interviews, panel appearances. Everyone wants the founder janitor to speak. They want the headline, not the journey, the myth, not the man. But one message is different. It comes from the U.S. Department of Education. A senior advisor has read your book and watched Remington's viral assembly speech. They're organizing a national youth leadership initiative and want you to serve on the advisory board. You represent the future of education, the email says. Real experience, not just theory. You hesitate. Not because you're unqualified, but because you know the spotlight has its price. Still, you accept the invitation on one condition. I bring one student, you reply, as my guest. Not a speaker, a shadow. They agree. And that's how Remington Chase ends up in a Navy suit sitting beside you on a high-speed Amtrak headed to D.C., staring out the window like he's seeing the country for the first time. You nervous, you ask, sipping black coffee. He shrugs, then admits, I thought I'd be more excited. But honestly, I'm just trying not to screw this up. You look at him sideways. Screwing up is how you got here. He chuckles. Fair. When you arrive, it's a whirlwind. Government buildings, interviews, strategy meetings, everyone buzzing with polished buzzwords, equity, innovation, impact, until they're stripped of meaning. But you sit through it all, WTIH, patience watching, listening, letting them see what authenticity looks like in a room full of rehearsed sincerity. Then comes the real moment, the closed-door meeting with cabinet members and key donors. You're ushered into a conference room with a long glass table and skyline views. Everyone's dressed like money, speaking like policy. They introduce you. You speak briefly, focusing on practical change mentorship programs, accessible infrastructure, and reimagining what leadership looks like in underserved schools. You don't raise your voice. You don't pitch slogans. You just speak plainly. Then a woman in a cream pantsuit, an executive from an influential education tech firm, leans forward and says, "This bridge-built model is fascinating. We're interested in franchising it nationally. Think of the reach. With the right branding, it could be worth millions." You pause. It was never meant to be a product. She smiles tightly. Everything becomes one eventually. Another donor chimes in. We'd need full access to TAH student data. Success metrics, emotional response rates, behavioral mapping. It's how we build the investor deck. Remington stiffens beside you. You don't move. Let me get this straight, you say slowly. You want to take a program designed to strip away hierarchy and turn it into a hierarchy-driven commodity. Not commodity, the woman says. A movement. You nod. Right, one with logos. And sponsorship tiers. There's a beat of silence. Then you push the folder across the table. In that case, you say, we're not interested. The air shifts. One man coughs. Another murmurs something about reevaluating partnerships. But the woman in cream says, "You'll regret this. Your model will be replicated without you. With or without your consent, you rise buttoning your jacket. Then I'll sleep well, knowing I didn't sell out what I couldn't buy back." You leave the room. Remington follows stunned. In the hallway, he finally blurts, "That was a multi-million-dollar deal." "No," you say. "That was a trap." He exhales, rattled. "I would have said yes." You nod. "That's why I brought you." Back at the hotel, you both sit in silence, watching the city lights flicker against the Potomac. And for the first time, you tell him something you haven't told anyone, not even the board. You're planning to step away, not in disgrace, not in retreat, but in purpose. You purpose. You built something real, you tell him. Now it needs someone who understands what that actually means. He stares at you like the floor just dropped beneath him. You're leaving Whitebridge. I'll still be around. Quietly. But the school isn't mine anymore. Not in the way it was. It belongs to the students now, and to those who protect its values. He processes it slowly. So, who's going to run the mentorship program? You sip your coffee again. You are. He laughs, unsure. I'm not ready. No one is. But you failed, rebuilt, been mocked, and defended someone else when it cost you. That's a better resume than most leaders in D.C. He swallows hard, then nods. When you return to Whitebridge, it's under the radar. No press, no announcement. But something's changed. Remington now walks the halls differently, not entitled, not apologetic, but aware. He helps build the Bridge-Built Council, a rotating group of seniors who manage the anonymous mentorship links and quietly respond when students show signs of withdrawal or distress. They do it without fanfare. The janitor's bucket is still in the supply room, but now it has a note taped above it, written by a freshman. Some people clean floors, others clean minds. You did both. You don't frame the note. You leave it there, smudged, handwritten, authentic. A week later, the girl who wrote it, quiet, brilliant, often overlooked, gets called into the headmaster's office. She thinks she's in trouble. But when she walks in, she finds Remington waiting with a scholarship letter. He hands it to her and says, "Someone once taught me that the quietest voices echo the longest. We heard yours." She bursts into tears. And in that moment, watching from the hallway, you feel it not just pride, but peace. The kind that tells you the torch has not just been passed, it's been earned. It starts with a storm, not the kind that rattles windows, but one that strikes at the very core of Whitebridge Academy. A cyber attack. At first it seems small, just a few locked files in the faculty directory. But within hours it spreads. Student records disappear. Class schedules vanish. Scholarship disbursement data is corrupted. Bridge-Built's encrypted mentorship links are breached. By noon, panic surges through the halls. Parents flood the phones. The board calls an emergency session. The headmaster paces like he's already composing his resignation speech. Students are sent home early, their phones buzzing with rumors of ransom demands. You're in the maintenance wing when you hear the first whispers. You don't panic. You've seen crises before. Fires, failing donors, scandals. But this is different. This one strikes at the invisible infrastructure. The part no one sees but everyone depends on. That night you walk the halls alone. No one asks you to fix it, but old habits die hard. You check the server closet in the West Wing. You trace the emergency cable lines you installed with your own hands during the school's second expansion. But it's no longer your system. New vendors, new staff, new codes. And that's when it hits you. This is not your storm to weather. It's his. You find Remington the next morning in the student lounge, surrounded by 4 laptops and 3 student tech leads. No uniform, no entitlement, just exhaustion and resolve. He's been up all night. You trying to take down the hackers yourself, you ask, voice low. He doesn't even look up, trying to trace the breach. Whoever did this went through the bridge-built server node. You walk closer. They're targeting the thing that made this place human. He finally glances up. They're trying to erase what we built. You correct him gently. What you're building. He looks at you like he's about to crack fear pressure, doubt swirling behind tired eyes. I don't know if I can fix it. You nod. Good. That means you're ready. He sighs, rubs his temples. You're not going to step in? Nope. You're seriously just going to let me fail. I'm seriously going to let you lead. You turn to leave but pause at the door. Remington, you say. Legacy isn't about preventing collapse. It's about rebuilding when no one thinks you can. And then you're gone. That night, Remington calls an all-student assembly. No one requires it. No teachers are present. Just students. Packed shoulder to shoulder in the auditorium. Some scared, some angry, some waiting for someone else to take control. Remington steps up to the mic. No stage lights, no introduction. Just a boy with a scarred ego and a new heart. Someone tried to erase us, he says. Voice clear. Clear. But this school wasn't built on code. It was built on connection. And if they destroy the software, we'll build it back brick by brick. A few students laugh nervously. One senior shouts, "How, you're just a kid." Remington nods. Exactly. Which is why we'll fix it together. And that night something extraordinary happens. They stay. All of them. Hundreds of students scattered in clusters powering laptops, handwriting student records. 4 memory pairing seniors with underclassmen to recall mentorship links. Bridge built becomes analog. Not sleek. Not efficient. But real. And you watch from a window outside the gym. No one sees you. You smile. By morning, a patchwork system is in place. Student data is partially restored. The mentorship network, now rebuilt by hand, is functioning again. The school reopens under a new protocol, a security framework proposed by Remington and coded by students he trained. The board calls another meeting. But this time it's not about removing anyone. It's about protecting what's been proven. And then comes the final full circle moment. 2 weeks later, during the senior award ceremony, the principal calls Remington's name for the White Bridge Pillar of Legacy Honor. It's never been awarded to a student before. The room falls into stunned applause. He walks to the stage, hesitates, then turns to the principal. I can't accept this alone, he says. This award was built by someone who believed I could be better, who cleaned these floors when we didn't even deserve his footsteps. The principal looks confused. You mean the founder? Remington turns to the crowd. I mean him. He points to the back of the room. To you. All heads turn. For the first time, you're not invisible. The applause rises louder than it ever was for you. Nad, this time you don't leave. You walk slowly to the stage. Remington steps aside. The principal extends the plaque to you. You shake your head and gently push it toward the boy who built back what he almost destroyed. Together, you hold it. And in that moment, 2 hands, 2 legacies, 1 truth. You know the story has come full circle. There are people we overlook because they don't wear their power on their sleeves. But sometimes, those quiet presences are the ones holding everything together. This story wasn't just about a janitor or a billionaire's son. It was about perception, Nad, the way respect must be earned, up, down, and across every walk of life. When judgment falls away, truth has room to rise. If this story stirred something in you or made you reflect on how we treat one another, go ahead and give it a like. Leave a comment about what surprised you most, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the quietest presence holds the loudest truth.